In this lesson, I'll show you how to use a PHP wrapper class for the Envato Marketplace's API. That way you can grab everything from recent items to account information to popular items and plenty more with as much ease as possible. So we can get it right here, and there'll be a link in the show notes. And you can come down here to the download section and download it as a zip file. So do note this is PHP. You'll need to have something like MAMP or WAMP installed. So if I unzip this, you'll see that all we have here is a single class file, and that's all you need to get started. So the next step is to move this over, and I'll rename this to MP for marketplaces. Move this over to wherever you store your PHP sites. I'll go ahead and do that right now, and then we'll open this up in TextMate. So if we click on the marketplaces, you can see here is our class file. So let's work around with this. I'm going to create a new file, and this will be called index.php. Now, if you need any tips, you can always come back to that GitHub page, and it'll show you how to get started with it. So you can see right here, the first step is to include the class and then create a new instance of it. So we'll do that right now. Acquire Envato marketplaces.php. And next, we'll create a new instance of it, and I'll give it a name of Envato, but name it however you wish. So with this available, now we have access to all of these methods that you can see right here. For example, let's say we want to search the website. Okay, we can call this search method, and you can go to the GitHub page, or you can go directly to the class to see what's required. And we need to give it a search expression. And these second two, which are optional, would be the name of the marketplace to search in, and then the type, and that would be the category. But we can keep it simple, and we'll say Envato, and we'll store this in a variable, equals Envato search. And let's say I want to search all the marketplaces for sliders. Now, we could print R this, but as you may know, sometimes you need to wrap that in pre-tags. So there is a helpful function that you can use here, and all that does is this echoes out the information. So we'll use that. Envato pretty print search. And that's it. So let's go and view this in our browser. So what you can see here is what we have now is an array of objects, and each of these objects contains everything we need. And notice all of them reference sliders. So here's Graphic River. If we scroll down, there's a Code Canyon item. This is marketplace wide. So if we want to limit that and say, I only want sliders from Code Canyon, I can do it like so. All right, and now we're only bringing up Code Canyon. But let's say we want to take this further, and I only want sliders within the plugins category. Refresh, and now we're only getting those items. So that's really easy to use. Let's take a look at some other examples. Let's say you want a really easy way to display thumbnails of your recent items. This is simple. You can see that we have this method display thumbs. And what this does is it takes care of querying the API, and it'll even echo the information out for you. This is only a convenience helper. If you'd like more control, you can simply call the new files from user function yourself. So let's try this out. We need to pass a username, a marketplace, and an optional limit. Display thumbs. And we'll display my own thumbnails, and I'm going to use the tutorials marketplace. So because this method will go ahead and echo the information out, I don't need to store it in a variable. All right, so let's see what those 3 lines alone do for us. Refresh, and check that out. It displays all the thumbnails for my items. But most of the time, you don't want everything. You want maybe the 5 most recent, and that's where we can pass in the third optional parameter, and that's the limit. So if we try this again, refresh, now it brings in 5 items, and that only took 3 lines worth of code. If I decide to update this, and let's say I want Collis's, our CEO's items, from Theme Forest, there we go, and those are his 5 most recent items. Next, let's take a look at how to use private information that requires an API key. So if we come here, you're free to look, and let's say you want to get the balance. Here's a function, and this will allow us to get the balance, but we do need an API key. Now you can grab your API key by going to your accounts page, clicking on My Settings, and if you come down to the bottom, there will be an API key. There you go. So we can then reference that by doing Envato set API key and passing that in like so. Now to grab our balance, we call the balance method and pass in our username. Let's try it. Envato balance and my username. We'll use our helpful pretty print method again, and let's see what we end up with. And sure enough, that's the current balance for me. Now, what if I need more account information? Okay, in that case, You're free to look here, but I know it happens to be called account information. And once again, we pass in our username. So let's try that out. Account information. And refresh the page. And now this will return an object that contains all of my information, including my profile image, my balance, my name, where I'm located. So if you want to use this information, then it's simply a matter of doing B and then passing in what you need. So if we need balance, and we'll echo that out. And sure enough, there you go. Really easy to use, right? Let's take a look at a few more. You're free to fast forward or rewind how you want. Let's say we want to grab item details. Okay, well, to grab an item detail, we need to reference a specific item ID. So let's say I want to get the item details for this one. I need to grab the ID, which I can grab right here. And note that we do not need our API key, but if you do intend to work with your account information, it's good practice, just go ahead and place that in there. And now we'll do item details, and we'll paste that in. We'll rename that to item, and once again, we'll print that out to see what we end up with. Refresh the page, and now once again we have the object. So then, simply to grab that image, you could do something like, we'll do this very quickly, PHP echo item, and we want to get the live preview URL. So we'll take that, refresh the page, and now we have the image, and then you can wrap it in an anchor tag, give it the title. It's really easy to use. All right, so let's take a look at one or two more. How about we want to grab all of the items within a collection? If we come back to the home page, you'll see that there are various collections that you're free to create, and there's many that are already pre-created. And again, there's an ID within the URL that you can use. So if you want to work with collections, just search for collection within the class or refer to the documentation. And you see we call the collection method and pass in the ID. We'll try that now. We'll rename that to C, and once again, print that out. And there we go. Now we have an array, and this contains the information for every single item in that collection that you're free to use on your own website. And now we'll do one last. Let's say we want to grab the most popular items. Say you want to display on your website to use your referral ID so you can make extra commissions from new users. You want to display the 4 most popular items on Code Canyon in the last week. And here we go, most popular last week. It's going to accept a marketplace name and an optional limit. Code Canyon. And we said we wanted to bring in the 4 most recent items. Let's try that, refresh, and sure enough, now we have the 4 items. Note that if we leave off the limit, it's going to bring in any number of them. And as we can see here, it'll bring in 50. So generally limit it to whatever you want, 5, 10, any number that you need, and that'll take care of you. So then if you wanted to display this on the page, you would go into maybe your view and you would do a PHP for each statement to go through all of these objects in the array and then display that information out. And let me know if you need any help with that in the comments, and I'd be happy to help. So there's plenty more methods available that you're free to use, but hopefully this will be of help to you.